how do you pronounce and spell your name?
My name is Dennis Wang. That is DENNIS
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Dennis. I am currently a student at Duke University studying economics and political science with a minor in history. Growing up, I've had numerous very formative experiences in places like North Korea, Egypt during the Arab Spring, and Nepal when there was a Maoist uprising. And consequently, I am very much interested in global affairs. One of the specific areas of interest that I have is in US-China relations, and that's why I wrote the book Reigning the Future.
So please tell us more about your forthcoming book, Reigning the Future.
So my book, Reigning the Future, it explores US-China relations through the context of so my book, Reigning the Future, explores US-China relations through the perspective of business and technology, looking at the technological rivalry between the United States and China, and at the same time exploring some of the key technologies that's really going to shape the 21st century, like artificial intelligence, big data, and I also talk a little bit more about the whole fiasco regarding Huawei as well in this book.
When did you come up with the idea of writing a book?
I really came up with the idea of writing a book over the summer when I was working with Huawei Technologies in West Africa. I thought that at that time, US-China relations, especially some of the topics surrounding technology, has really been on the news. However, there is a lot of misunderstanding on both sides on what is really going on. Working at Huawei during that time, I thought that I can leverage some of my past experience, my coursework at Duke University, as well as some of my own research pertaining to this topic, and tie it all together in the form of a book project to sort of tell everyone what is going on and share some of the underlying stories that is related to some of the news headlines that we're looking at.
So why did you choose to intern at Huawei this past summer, and why did you choose to include Huawei in general in your book?
So I think the first part to the question is why I decided to go to Huawei. Well, I wanted to go to this company because I wanted to get a Chinese perspective. I think that having grown up in both Canada, Malaysia, as well as the United States, I have not spent most of my life in China. So I think getting a Chinese perspective is definitely very important. Furthermore, I think that before the summer, I was already very much interested in US-China relations. And so I wanted to really dive deep into the background of all the things that are going on and really go to one of the most controversial companies that we have right now.
Can you tell me a little bit about your internship experience at Huawei this summer? What particular fun things have you encountered while you were traveling in Africa for your internship?
Yeah, so I was in West Africa for my work with Huawei. Specifically, I was in Morocco, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania, spending about 3 months in these places. It was definitely a very interesting experience, not only doing the work that I did, but also interacting with people of so many different cultures. Morocco itself is a very multicultural place. One specific fun experience I had was, traveling from Western Sahara, which is a geographically disputed territory, to Mauritania. It was an 18-hour bus ride, and we had to go through this minefield along the border where we could still see the wreckages of war, and our car broke down in the process, and we had to fix our car in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, and it was definitely a very fun experience.
So Huawei has a lot of offices across the world.
Yes.
Why did you choose Africa?
Well, I chose Western Africa specifically because it offered sort of like an adventure. So with the previous story I talked about, I think that these sort of experiences I would not have had in other places. And specifically, I wanted to go where, a lot of the news headlines have been discussing, with China's involvement in Africa. Some describe it as sort of like neo-colonialism. I wanted to see whether that's truly the case and try to be involved myself and discover what is really going on.
How many chapters are in your book, and
Mhm. So my book has 13 chapters. They are organized into two parts. The first part explores some of the historical dynamics between the United States and China, starting first with the Opium War. It also discusses some of the more international relations theory side of things. Uh, However, part two, that talks more about uh, sort of the technologies that we are dealing with, like artificial intelligence, big data, and 5G, and also Huawei. And in part two, I bundle these together into groups of 2 or 3 chapters discussing stories and offering insights on these topics.
So, what do you think is the intended audience of your book?
I think really my book has a quite a broad audience. I am catering this book towards whoever is interested in what's happening in the world, global affairs. That could be students, that could be academics, people who are in industry. Basically, if you like following the news, if you like learning about what is going on in the world, I hope that this will be a good book for you. Additionally, for a more specialized audience, I guess my book could be very helpful for people who are interested in U.S.-China relations specifically. We're interested in learning about the tech world in China and so forth.
As the author of the book, I'm curious to listen to more about your view on the US-China rivalry and the specific roles that Huawei and 5G play in this rivalry.
So, my answer is it depends pretty much. No one really knows what is going on in these sort of discussions between the two governments because they're so closed doors. However, what I can say is that one of the reasons that the United States is, I guess, attacking Huawei specifically is that currently the United States lacks a domestic homegrown telecommunications company that has the capabilities of 5G comparable to Huawei. Right now, the Western counterparts are located in Europe with Nokia and Ericsson. However, they are currently lacking a little bit in terms of research development for 5G. So that is why it is important for the United States to make sure that the next world leader in 5G is not a Chinese company, that it is a company of one of its allies. Furthermore, personally, the case regarding Huawei also plays very much into the rhetoric that's coming out of Washington right now. Right now, Washington has a sort of bipartisan hawkishness on China, and Huawei is a very good, I guess you can call, scapegoat in this whole affair.
I saw on your website that there are a lot of big figures, like national leaders,
Right.
in both China and the US, who have had a lot of comments, great comments on your book. So can you elaborate more on how have you met these people and how have they contributed to your idea writing this book?
Right. So throughout the research, writing, and publishing phases of my book, I've been very fortunate to meet so many great mentors and friends and people who have really helped me develop some of the stories, some of the insights that are a part of my book. This project would not have been possible without their support. And I think that it's really important to reach out to people when you're doing a project like this. So you mentioned some of the, I guess, quotes I have on the back cover of my book. Those really came from a mixture of reaching out to people, networking, talking to people, having them recommend more people to me, and really being very proactive in asking for help. Fortunately, right now, the topic of my book, it's not something that, a book like this really is not existent in the market right now. So many people are interested in what I have to say, what I have to write about. And so they're really willing to help me out, give me some very incredible insights and stories as well. So one example that I guess I can talk about is Dennis Simon, which is the Vice Chancellor of Duke Kunshan University and professor at the Duke Fuqua School of Business. So a person like this who really helped me craft some of my stories, giving me some very interesting insights, and also a person who was offered to write a quote for my book. He's someone I reached out just through emailing him through the Duke repository of emails. So really a lot of people are willing to help out if you ask for the help.
You know, writing a book is a very long process. It requires a lot
Right.
of research,
Hmm.
and you definitely have to put a lot of time and effort into the research process. So, can you tell me specifically what has motivated you to go through such long research process and to write so many words such that it can be published as a book?
Right. Yeah. So writing my book was indeed a very long process. It I think the total word count ended up being 65,000 words. So really, it was writing 500 words every single day for over 100 days. I think this was as much as a growth experience for me as well as publishing the book itself. Throughout the process, going into the process, I knew that I wanted to learn more about this topic, meet new people who are interested in this topic, have some guidance from very good mentors. And so I entered this project not only thinking about publishing the final book as the end result, but also the learning that I'll gain from doing this thing. So I think throughout I really learned so much, and now all my friends ask me for help for writing pretty much. And I think I would recommend any student who is interested in exploring an area of their passion to write a book because it really is such a fruitful experience.
Anyone is interested in learning more about your book, where can they look up more information?
Sure. So in late February of 2020, my book will be published in both paperback and ebook versions. The best way that you can find information about this book is by visiting the website reigningthefuture.com. If you'd like to purchase a copy of the book, either a paperback or ebook, you can visit Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or the platform called Kobo. And it will definitely be available on all of these platforms by late February.
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.